And Democrats have guaranteed themselves at least a tie-breaking vote in the Senate after races in Nevada and Arizona were projected to be wins over the weekend. Democrats now have a 50-49 majority, with the last seat in Georgia being decided in a runoff election next month.
For more on that, let's bring in Shannon McCaffrey. She's a politics reporter at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Shannon, thank you very much for being here. There's a lot of variables in this race, including a shorter campaign window, a window for getting out the vote and then early voting in this runoff when people compare it to the one from 2 years ago that brought Raphael Warnock into the Senate in the first place. So how will this shorter window affect things, if at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is an incredibly short window now, basically 4 weeks, but one of them is pretty much already gone. So 3 weeks to go. I think, in the previous runoff, you had 9 weeks, and I think there was a little bit more time for fundraising and for recalibrating. Here, we are just seeing folks get right back out there again. They are getting as much money in their campaign war chests as they are able to, and there's a lot of national attention, so that helps. But in terms of, campaigning, we were out with both candidates yesterday. They are back on the stump again and ready to go.
I'm curious, you were writing that this race is more than an afterthought for Democrats and a consolation prize for Republicans. I'm just curious about how the campaigns are framing the stakes, since this election will not change the balance of power in the Senate. I'm sure people are pretty exhausted by now of the campaigns, but they still got to go and vote.
Yeah, in Georgia, we're getting very, very used to very, very long campaigns where you have to go out multiple times. And I think voters are a little bit weary of it. But I mean, I think the Democrats, President Biden yesterday actually framed it this way. He said it's better to have 51 votes than 50. And a Senate that is deadlocked, you have tied committee chairmanships, et cetera. So I think they would like to have a bit of a cushion. As we've seen, they have struggled to get some of their big ticket items through because they haven't quite had the votes. They've had to they've had to line everyone up. So 51 would be a good number for them to have, give them a little breathing room. Herschel Walker is still going after Biden. And his argument and their campaign's argument is that Biden is still incredibly unpopular in Georgia. He's got a 38% approval rating here. So, they think that message will still resonate with folks, even if he's not going to break the tie.
Super interesting. There's going to be a lot of political heavy hitters called in to campaign for each potential senator, one current senator, one potential senator, I should say. Who can we expect to make a trip to the Peach State in the next 3 weeks?
Well, we don't have anything official yet. So, we're speculating a bit, but, the big question is, will Donald Trump come and campaign for Herschel Walker? He didn't during the general election campaign. There's a split in thinking on this. There are some people who think that, Donald Trump would be very, very polarizing and keep independents away. However, a runoff is about getting your core voters back out to the polls. And, there is no one who is better about getting that sort of core, hardcore Republican base out than Donald Trump. And on the Democratic side, we saw President Obama come down during the general election. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes again toward the end. So, you might see two former presidents. The one person I do not think we'll see is President Biden, because as I mentioned, his approval is not great in Georgia right now.
That's right. I mean, it might be an opportunity for former President Trump himself to start campaigning if he makes that announcement tomorrow. Shannon McCaffrey, thank you.
On stage here in New York at the Lion King, New York Post covered Cowardly Lion. All right, the story is that the guy who does the sign language was fired.
Yep.
His name is Keith. Mm-hmm. He says it's because his skin is white and not black or that of another minority, mm-hmm. and he went on to say this about that.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them were not available. And so I got an email and saying, hey, Keith, you're qualified. A few days later, I got the email that you got, or that you were able to show there, and just looked at it and said, what they're saying here, I think this is illegal.
But the email basically that he got was that the majority of the characters in Lion King are black actors, and the content takes place in Africa. And even though he's an amazing performer, this guy Keith, he is not a black person, and therefore should not be representing Lion King. That's what they sent to him.
For my money, this is the real racism. Okay, he's a sign language interpreter. The signs have the same meaning no matter who signs them. Number one, by the standard of if you're not it, you can't portray it. Should the lions be played by lions? I don't know how you're going to ensure that play. I think it's ridiculous. I think a lot of people on the left have become cultural arsonists. They set fires where there didn't need to be one so they can extinguish them on their own and claim valor and virtue and say, look, we've got a black sign language interpreter now, when no one was going to the Lion King because of the sign language interpreter. If you were hearing impaired, you just wanted to understand the signs. You didn't pick this battle, they picked it for you. But to be clear, I'm still boycotting the Lion King for the old-fashioned reason. It's too expensive and Times Square is a dump. And that's why.
The songs are good.
Fine.
But when the Lions play the Lions, I'll go see that one.
Yeah, for about 20 seconds. Then you'll be running for your life. Stop it.
Nice to see you, Jimmy.
Great to see you, Jimmy. That was a good
Week.
point.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Right on.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Last night at approximately 10:30 p.m., University police responded to a call of shots fired in the Culbreth parking garage area. The suspected shooter is UVA student Christopher Darnell Jones, Jr. Upon arrival at the scene, University police encountered several victims of gunshot wounds. The shootings occurred on a bus full of students returning from a field trip. 3 of the victims did not survive. They were Devin Chandler, a second year from Virginia Beach, Virginia, Lavelle Davis, a third-year student from Ridgeville, South Carolina, and Deshaun Perry, a fourth-year student from Miami, Florida. All 3 were members of the football team. 2 other students were wounded and are being treated for injuries at the UVA Medical Center. 1 is in good condition, 1 is in critical condition. In order to protect their privacy, we are not releasing their names at this moment. The families of all the victims have been notified, and the university is providing any and every available assistance. I have spoken with 4 of the families, and I spoke directly to the student who is in good condition.
I want to share some information with you because I want to be transparent with you. I want you to know what I know to the extent I can share that information this afternoon. Mr. Jones came to the attention of the University of Virginia's threat assessment team in the fall of 2022. In fact, in September of 2022, our Office of Student Affairs reported to the multidisciplinary threat assessment team that Mr. Jones, they received information that Mr. Jones had made a comment about possessing a gun to a person that was unaffiliated with the university. In other words, a third party. That reporting person, again, unaffiliated with the university, to the best of our knowledge, never saw a gun. The comment about Mr. Jones owning a gun was not made in conjunction with any threats. The Office of Student Affairs followed up with the reporting person and made efforts to contact Mr. Jones. In fact, they followed up with Mr. Jones' roommate, who did not report seeing the presence of a weapon. Pardon me. Thank you, Captain. We just received information the suspect is in custody.
Повернемо транспортне сполучення і пошту. Повернемо швидку допомогу і нормальну медицину. Звичайно, вже починається відновлення роботи органів влади, поліції, деяких приватних компаній. Я дякую бізнесу, який серед перших бере участь в поверненні нормального життя.
Administration had everything that they needed here in place. And as you can see, this is enough wall section to complete all of the areas that Governor Ducey used the containers to cover up. So had the administration done its job, then Governor Ducey would not have had to have acted with the legislature using state resources instead of the federally funded wall that we had already paid for. More or less, you have about $2 million worth of concrete and steel barriers that have been in place and have been inactive since the day after the inauguration. Unfortunately, Governor Ducey had to take action when the federal government refused to continue construction on the wall, and Governor Ducey brought in the containers, even though right around the corner, as I showed you, we have all of the materials bought and paid for by the taxpayers of the United States where this wall should have been completed. So these are working. As you notice, we don't have any crossing right here. Not very many people are excited about trying to scale the containers, especially with the barbed wire over the top of it. But this used to be the main entry route. This gap is closed up. One of the reasons that I was frustrated that this wall was not completed is because just behind us, we have a pathway where people were taking a tourist bus, being dropped off, and then walking across. So we had thousands of people coming through this area on a daily basis. But because of the governor's action, we don't have that anymore. Thanks to the containers, we almost have zero traffic in this area, which is located right next to the city of Yuma. So they would be in a residential neighborhood within less than a mile of crossing over in this area. I don't want to speak for Governor Ducey, but he is committed to keeping those containers in place until the federal government steps up and does its job.